Got there. I think I got there. I think I'm here. Are you there? Can you see me? I can see you. I can see you over there. Greetings, friends, family. I know the mic was a little bit low last week. I was just catching that on the review. I better just check the gain. Give it a little Rodney booster there. How you getting on, ding dong? Emmanuel Godson first in the house. You are indeed such a brilliant firster. Greetings to you, Liz. How are you? Great to hear. Ihawa. Gach dinne. Tá mé go mac or míle mac go a cháirde. A cháirde. 5 to 8 in. Nice to see you back as well. 5. Thank you for joining us. We'll let the room fill up. Hopefully more and more people are starting to get a few more notifications. And as we wait for the room to fill in, good to see you, Wayne. Thank you very much. Good to see you. As I said, started the show. Kind of have to keep the people that are watching this on review a little bit entertained while we wait for the live chat to fill up. And for our good friends and Denzians to introduce themselves and bid us all farewell. How was your week? What a week. Oh, a few things that I kind of want to touch in on. As you could imagine as well, not that I'm not going to talk about the stuff across the water with the foils and stuff like that, because I think it is very important, but we'll lean into it towards the end. It's not anything it's only on the periphery still for me at the moment. Want to just inform you and give a shout out to our good friend, Dr. Marcus de Bruin, who's still going through it with the medical council and stuff like that. And if you can support him, please do, and attend any of the inquisitions, shall we say. I shall spit that one out. 5x5 from John Paul. Appreciate that. Thank you for the sound check. We've got a moderator in. Good to see you, Noreen. Thank you. We'll have a moderation. And we'll crack on with that. Yeah, like I said, I just want to I'll give props out to young Dr. Marcus de Bruin. Not that, GT, not that. We'll go over to the feed view. Let's jump over here. Sorry for that. Because Marcus just put in a few posts, and of course he's reposting other people. I think it was Louise Redgrave, a journalist who was covering this case, giving an onerous review, and he was promoting her Substack. Of course, I do encourage you to jump over to, and again, it probably leaves a bad taste in a few people's mouth, but Aisling O'Loughlin. Aisling doing some great work as well, and some recent posts over on Telegram lead me to go, I must reframe my position. I must think upon this. I must muse a few bits more in her criticisms of the Mary Boyle case and Gemma O'Doherty's handling of all of that as well. Seems like these things are always cyclical. I think I've been aware now of some 3 to 4 great upheavals in the timeline that I'm kind of aware of, and we're in the midst of a flux in the timeline now as well. We must touch in on from the Russian. I think she is the chief finance minister, or not. They don't have finance minister, but she's the chief of the central bank, talking about Ireland's contribution to the 90 billion war fund for Europe, or for Slava Ukraine, effectively painting a target on our backs. If we didn't already have one, we've just now guaranteed ourselves, pretty much like we had a chance to opt out of the migration pact, but we thought we'd stumble our way into it, and we created a crisis. Again, the Hegelian created a crisis, thereby saying, "Oh, it's a good thing." And again, it's always the sheeple. But with this spiritual awakening, a la via the Epstein files, there's a huge turning to Christ. Well, but particularly on online, and again in my real life as well, your real life as well. I hope you're engaging in those conversations. Good idea from Quiva over on Twitter. We'll get to towards the end as well. About the disenfranchised 200,000 of you that are floating about out there. We wish to reach out to you. We wish to contact you. What next? Obviously, the main focus I kind of want to hone in on is Rupert Lowe's party launch and the speech that he gave at the party launch down in Great Yarmouth. A few tenants. And again, all the Overton window is definitely shifted. That speech particularly, and that announcement was a huge Overton window shifter from everything that we've been discussing, you and I, and many others as well online. Say many others, those with their cojones out and speaking about it. And now that horse is bolted, shall we say, now that cat is out of the bag, kind of need to fine tune some of the minutiae of what he was saying as well, what it might entail from my perspective. And again, nothing beyond the realms of impossibility, but needs to be pressed home. And if we are to Um, if we are to allow, or if we are to see the great renaissance, particularly coming from Generation Alpha and Generation Z, hence tonight's title as well, kind of, as I say, kind of touching in with the kids, not trying to be an old boomer, kind of still Gen X, kind of sitting here, kind of just observing, being aware of all the different cultural phenomena that are happening, and FrameMogging jumping back out on the scene. And why am I on that post over there? I do apologise. Sorry about that, Marcus. FrameMogging as well, another phenomenon. It's a rehash of an old phenomenon, which was a WWF sort of tactic with the Vince McMahon, but it's now being reframed and coming out now in the Generation Alpha males. FrameMogging. It's all about your testosterone flow. It's all about your the amount of juices that you're on. They're scientists. They're brilliant. Far more everything, I suppose. They have it tough, and they've been forged by the steel unbeknownst to themselves, and are, I think, ready head on to meet it. But capturing in the frame, because all things flow downhill of culture. I think I reframed it wrong the last time. I said politics is downhill or culture is downhill of politics, but politics is downhill of culture. And all things cultural should be observed and warned, because they do translate in the years to come after the fact. We looked at our own situation, like with the files coming out, and again, I want to. Sorry, lads and lasses, I didn't pop out the chat. I want to keep your thoughts, comments, and witticisms here on the live chat with me to touch in with you as I touch on some of these subjects. You may automatically give me the feedback. Just a quick catch up there before I carry on with my train of thought. The X-Files are a distraction, of course, Five. And again, I'm not going to weigh in. Do allow me, or do have the consideration that I am abreast and have a broad scope on that particular subject. If you follow with me, and if you can go back to any of the early, we spoke about this years and years ago, and I touched upon it. But where this will kind of lead on in that distraction as well, in the revelations or the revealing of the truth, or the revelation of the method, as they call it in ISIS Rising. It's kind of a two-edged sword they're releasing. Some are saying now that they're bragging, they're openly showing you that they're vampires, that they're, pedestrists at large, they are torturists, they are murderers, they're psychopaths, absolute psychopaths. At the pinnacle of it, they are demons. Demons in many forms, demons in human flesh, or whatever they are. It's the quantifiable marker, again, as I was engaging in conversation again. It's verifiable proof the existence of pure evil. With the coming and the revelation of that understanding, Colette, I'm going to pull you up on that. I'm talking about global culture, and I'm seeing. We only get to see some of the gammas on social media platforms, because their message is always enhanced. The algorithm is always favourable to the anything that denigrates the alpha male, or anything that denigrates the masculine, as we understand as well, and perverts the feminine. We're only mixing those two, and we describe the different personalities: alpha, brava, sigma, gamma, and omega. Personality traits, both masculine and feminine as well, break down characteristical traits in amongst those personality groups, or the psychosexual behavioral sort of phenomenon that is, pretty much talked about. And I don't want to deviate too far away from that point, but you may say are alphas, but they're not they're not. And again, they are Generation Alpha, but in amongst that generation, that alpha generation, are the alpha males and the alpha females, the alpha masculine and the alpha feminine, and they're becoming true to form, because it's a global. Alpha and Zoomer and Millennial speak on global topics and global culture. It kind of spews just our own homogenous cultural norms, as it were, but they're speaking on I can't say global, because I don't believe in the globe earth map. I can, as I tell you, I don't know what it is, but I can tell you it's not round. And that may discount me from a lot of conversation. If that irks or tickles you or frustrates you, off to fuck. Cheerio, goodbye to ta. But that's not where I'm going. But I'm just saying that the FrameMogging comes in is the young men sort of out-framing each other, out-staturizing. It's the renaissance of the alpha male in its infancy. Let's recognize it for what it is. Let's not look on the micro. Let's broom out to the macro a little bit. And we'll touch on all those subjects as well. I think you should be pleasantly surprised if you see what is coming. and I have strong leanings and strong a strong um, intuition of a general crusader revival. I actually think we might see, in the modern sense, a modern day crusade. And that's not speaking flippantly and stuff like that. I'm just, and again, speaking from my own perch. I'm speaking from my own perch. I'm from my own prerogative and perspective. You're free to enunciate yours and you're free to tell me about it here. But if you tune in, you're tuning in for what I'm digesting and what I'm trying to put it out to you the way I see it. You'll hardly see a strong white males on our adverts and commercials. Of course you don't. By design, DEI, inclusivity. Inclusivity. They don't want to portray. They are out there at large. They are 100% out there. They are, Colette, believe me. They are. Yeah, Paul was talking now. So let's jump. I'll jump over to this quickly as well. Because they're just important little markers that are happening. And it ties in with the Defence Forces. Peter Paul Guy over on Twitter, great accounts. Do give him a follow. 2 media articles 8 years apart. Is the Irish Defence Forces wages so low that they're told not to have children. Irish government plans to fast-track citizenship for foreign nationals who serve in the military. Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil have been in political power for both those years. Just to give you a quick butchers of the main headline title from the Irish Times and the Irish Telegraph as well. And it's the Telegraph that reports on what has long been considered to be a far-right conspiracy theory, like the replacement migration theory. It's the onsets of the belligerent, or as some say it in our own historical context, the re-emergence of the Black and Tans, a foreign mercenary force deployed on our streets. To whom will they hold their allegiance? Of course, stupid questions, a rhetorical question, sorry. Because you already know the answer to that as well. If they're wearing a bin bag on their head, you know which way their leanings are going to lean and who they're going to look upon favourably and who they're going to protect and serve. The American situation is perfect when you listen to the first Somali sheriff who says openly on his local national television station that they support the Somalis and do not support federal government or local government because they work for the Somali population. Openly fucking saying it so. We've got Mealy Mouth chances over here as well in our own establishment as well, who portray themselves to be on the side of people. But it's just all about fairness and engagement on Garda Síochána. But you are quite clearly brown shirts in the majority. And all of those just hanging on in for the retirement package, trying to ride it out. And you can see the new recruits coming through. You can see how below subpar that they are and are still fast track through. Pretty much like they will be in the Defence Forces. Although in the main they'll be seeking these young fighting age men for what? Maybe to patrol us on the streets while the main contingent is sent abroad to the war that the Gambian politicians, that the feckless Irish MEPs, all of them in Europe are voting and working towards with that 90 billion fund. And again, I will frame that to you. That is just a slush fund for them and their friends, because we have neither the factories or the capability. You're talking decade long in the making for a resurgence of any sort of semblance of a strong European army, to build the munitions, to build the logistics, all the logistics requirements that goes when creating this army. We are so below par now, but they will just want boots on the ground to throw them blue tits on their heads and send them over to the seas to fight the Russians. And again, it's just a prolonging of the war. It's not to win it outright. It's to just keep the money train going. The vast majority of those billions will be sent in small to consultants and to other entities that are close to Van der Leyen and the rest of them. The Committee of 30. I said you can forget the council. It's just it's a fucking shit show in essence. When you see the nonsense that come out of any of the political stuff, like either from Davos and stuff like that, it's crazy. But they are so corrupted. But I think there's so many of them that will be tied up in the X-Files, as we shall allude to them as well, that it does pan here into a European context as well. I think at this point as well, favourable to remember and to remind people that Epstein's plane landed here 12 times. What was he delivering? What was he collecting? Why was he here? Why were the logs scrubbed? You know, with a functioning Garda force, with a functioning justice system, we might be able to get those answers, because the Wayback Machine never forgets, and that general information or that log might be recovered, or there might be a copy of it somewhere. Who knows? Who knows? But that shit will spill out over to here in due course and in due time. It's not just we have our own Irish billionaires that are wrapped up with the Clintons at large and have been very public in their association with them. And I think that will trickle and spill its way over to here. Only a matter of time, and it's 100%. You can't tell me that kind of shit hasn't been going on here as well. That they haven't been devouring and eating babies over here at large. And we can say it now. I mean, we can say it. It's in the files. Everybody understands that's what's been going on. Have you given up McDonald's yet? I mean, have you walked away from the flesh burgers? I'm going to throw them out there. Just keep your kids away from that shit. Even in a statistical analysis recently thing, there was in any meat patty, there can be up to 1,300 strands of different DNA in that. Whether they're human or not is another thing to be decided. Stay the fuck away. There's an email about sending a girl to cool. Yeah, I think so. So I mean, it's only a matter of time. The focus is across the water. Finland, I think Denmark has started arrests and stuff like that. So again, it'll be outside pressure on our own part. It won't be an internal investigation. It won't be any politician over here holding anybody to account. So let's just ride the train out on that. Let's be aware of it. If you haven't seen or read up on any of that kind of stuff, I would advise to step back. There's things and stuff in there that you need to kind of comprehend and understand, but to read apart it is psychologically damaging. We've been through it years and years ago. Not going to get into it too much, Taro, but I appreciate that. So again, the fast tracking of fighting age young men into the defence forces will be ones to moderate and patrol the streets. I see more and more, and I'm sure it happens around the locality of the barracks, but it's not much that I've noticed of troop movements now in and around in the town where most of the barracks are located, and they're out doing their PT, physical training out on the streets. Probably always has been carrying on, but I think you're going to see more and more of that as they try to acclimatise the public to the military fatigue being out on civilian streets more and more. You know, you get the little drip feed of it, but they're usually heading out towards ranges and stuff like that, further afield. But I think you'll see a build-up of it in the city to make it more normative, and people just get used to it subconsciously. That then ties back in as well. Again, in the banking sense, I'm sure we're pretty much aware of a pending financial collapse or some sort of pending. Sorry, sheepdog. You know you're late again as well. Count them out there, 20 of each. Press up, sit ups, go. On this one here as well, I spoke to you. We've done many conversations about it, but now that she's out tweeting about it, and in her own words, von der Leyen tweeted out during the week, Europe has it all it needs to take the lead in competitiveness race. And again, all the soup salad there, all the buzzwords trying to entice you about this vague, nebulous language that simply means fuck all. This month, the EU Commission will unveil the Savings and Investments Union. And in red, we'll turn private savings into much needed investment. Practically telling, to finish it off, and we'll work with our institutional partners to get it off the ground. They want your money. They are coming after your savings. And any person worth their salt with a few quid in the bank, do not keep it all in one spot. Diversify. I'm sure many people with a few quid in the back pocket don't hold their portfolio in one lodgings or one sittings. Diversify your banking portfolio. Diversify your assets, your tangible assets portfolio as well. Keep it spread out because they're going to come for the savings. It's going to be a bail-in, not a bailout like in 2008. That was the first effect, and hence we got the troika. Hence the commission came in and stole away our sovereignty. We have no control over our currency and stuff. But with this, the bail-in is, boom, we're taking your money. We will see, as it's already been trialled in the UK over the last couple of weeks there, I think it was Barclays went down for the whole day again. I'm going to see more and more of that, possibly being blamed on the scary Russians and the saboteurs. But there will be a collapse of it one day. So, you know, have your little pot to hand as well to get you over a couple of days. Have a maybe just one bank that would be affected. You remember 2008? I think it would have been private number ringing. Well, I ain't gonna ring. I ain't gonna answer a private number at 8 o'clock on the stream. Good luck. But you remember 2008? There was the Newcastle Bank. I mean, they're shut down within 24 hours. All assets banks seized in that way. I don't imagine it will entail Revolut, but you're going to see cash machines and all that closing down as they wind their way out. But effectively saying in the tweet, we will turn private savings into much needed investment, coming after your private funds, coming after your private money, and will limit access to your funds as they're already doing in the UK. So just be aware of yonder. The next one is obviously Rupert's.
I now want.
We'll touch on that now in a second, but I'll get to this, and we'll go through. We'll spill out the remaining 20 to 30 minutes. And if you haven't watched them in your entirety, I do encourage you to watch both the broadcast from the party and both statements from Rupert Lowe as well. And I'm very much aware, as I will bring in the Twitter stream as well, and the criticisms, even from our own side as well. I know Garrod Murphy, good friend of mine, his criticism of another capitalist and another well-to-do person who takes avail and advantage of the tax system, as every other billionaire will do, that people above a certain wage income or a certain generational wealth are not affected by the day-to-day taxation of ourselves in large, because they can afford and stuff, but have access to vehicles to reduce the burden of the tax upon them, whereas the ordinary working class Joe Soap doesn't have access to those vehicles that can alleviate the taxation burden. And I get that, but what I want to focus in on is the rhetoric, is the language used, is the phrasing of the language, not even buzzwords, but words to be used in effect of everything that we would like to hear. I think in a British context, it's everything that they could want for, and everything. And I think advance, and I think most of the quality participants in reform will make their way to restore. But as he's already said, they're not going to take on establishment politicians or politicians at large that have been in the game for too long. Points that we should take on board as well. Anybody that has close links, any sort of new formation, because the bar has been set now. Rupert has essentially set the bar, and we'll jump in and out in between it. Where the feckin' fiddle fire is it? Did I knock it off? No, I didn't. There it is. There.
Want to address.
Pop that over there. So we'll have a mix of the two, but in the language. Let me jump over to your live chat because I'm getting carried away without checking in. Gabriel Rico is the name of the Mexican. Yeah, saying that. I'm going to Garda buying beer carts, military equipment. Yeah, exactly. Tax avoidance. Yeah, of course, Jerry. That's what I'm saying to you. But the criticism from the right, particularly with Rupert Lowe, Jerry son of Mick in the chat there, just saying tax avoidance is legal. Of course, because those vehicles are there. As Trump said to Clinton, he said, all your billionaire fringes, because we all use the same tax loopholes. If you don't want me to avail of those tax loopholes, then you have to get rid of it for everybody and not just make it for a select few. Again, an overhaul, as Satirical said, a complete overhaul. The financial system, of the judicial system, the welfare system, of the health system, all of it up for grabs. But everything that he said in his speech, and I'll skip through it with you, but I just kind of want to touch on some of the criticisms of our own side, criticising him, because it's said that Rupert, it is Rupert, isn't it? Rupert Lowe. Rupert likes Cromwell, and again, that would be a huge buzzword or a huge trigger word for ourselves over here, and awfully coming for criticism. I believe, and I would imagine that he is a military man of some sort, and would probably look towards Cromwell's time in a military perspective. Again, I'm going to not overly choose my words carefully, but I'm talking about historical effects that haven't have any real, I was going to say, in the modern sense, ramifications for us. In a societal sense and in a national sense, of course, it's part of the history. But I'm saying for you and me as individuals, it's what we've read in the book. But I'm saying he was probably saying that from a militarial context, because we would have a skewed understanding to him who absolutely. But again, I'm saying it, and this is not in defence from it. It's just my perspective or what I envisage why he would frame him. My own historical event would be Rourke's Drift of the UK's army, part of their tradition and their history. Being it because I served in the squadron that Lieutenant Commander Chad, who took control of Worksdrift. And defended the station against 3,000 to 4,000 Zulus at the time. You can see that in the film in Zoo. I'm saying from a military context. I don't know if it's if you're saying it was about the plantations and stuff like that, but again, the military, because I would say that as Rupert understands, what he is advocating for and what he is going to take is going to be a huge upheaval. If he says, and I don't believe he would trip over his word, that millions must return, that millions must go, I believe he understands the gigantic, huge undertaking that will ensue and that will take, and how painful that will be in the short term. But we're going to go through enough pain that I think we should understand that ourselves. The bar being set, will I pop up? Will I pop it up here from time to time? Do you want to have to go through it? Have you seen it? Live chat, let me know yourself. Talking through some of his talking points. Do I want? Actually, look, it's after tripping off of me now. Why can't we go back? Let's keep that there. Let me trip that off. Let me just press play here.
The national political landscape.
I'll leave it in
I've thought long and hard
or can we make it the bigger?
about what I'm going to say to you. And I've come to...
I'll skip into a few seconds of it there, and I'll zip in between it. We won't go through. I won't go through the whole thing. I want to kind of just touch in on a few the things that he says, or maybe we just keep it to this one here perspective, because you might get too deep in it as well. But where is chat? Where is chat? Where are you, chat? Come back there. Like when he's talking about the millions must go back and the undertaking and the cost that it will intake, but I dare say it will be far cheaper than allowing multitudes of people that are overburdening the welfare system devour that system in its entirety, so that it's redundant in all its forms. Whereas if we have to relieve pressure out of the system. Now I know I'm a little bit hesitant because I'm feeling my way into that conversation as well, and I want to kind of frame it. Oh well, with you as well. Cromwell also took a king's head. Yeah, that's true as well, and he could be framing that in his own narrative about as he said, the state has become the enemy of the people. It's exactly in our own context here as well, and exactly how we should see it too as well, that the state has in fact become the enemy of the people, and so corrupt and so deep in their crimes and criminality are they, that they have bought into the package of replacement migration, of slowly creepingly over the last 10 or 15, 20 years, through suicidal empathy, through their cronyism and their nepotism, through their capture of the institutions, through their massive payments to the NGO class, to the bourgeois fucking the bourgeois welfare system, for the middle class nonsense with their fucking feminist lesbian fucking doctorates and papers and all that kind of stuff that have no real world effect, but it keeps them employed, and if they're paid and fat and well, they'll follow the state line or the party line. Again, NGOs, the state talking to the state, convincing the state of what it needs, and outside forces having access to the state. And these entities that are wrapped up in the X-Files as well are so big that they sway governments, entire governments in itself, that they control them. And we understand that through the Troika, through the capturing of our currency, through the capturing of the Gambian politicians and enticing them up with little bribes up to Brussels and into the MEP, just to keep them on board, to bring in all of this degeneracy and corruption that they've been foisted upon us. So the replacement migration brings in a new block of voters. It also masks the money and theft of inflation. Inflation being masked, that the GDP figures from the big corporations are decreasing. Business is already mapping its way out to the most secure place, which will be in our situation with Big Pharma and all the other big businesses, which is already happening. More and more small manufacturings are beginning to start to close up. Not really being spoken about in the main on the papers, but the increase in population will mask the deleterious acts of rising inflation, of the cost of living. But as the GDP figures shrink, they'll be supplanted with the rising population as a consumer economy takes over from a manufacturing or a pharmaceutical base. Will mask the two until it's too late, until it can't be covered over, until the crash comes, when they'll just pull the plug. But in the meantime, these ever-increasing population means an ever-increasing chance to borrow on the markets to increase the national debt, to keep pinning it on the taxpayer till the system goes pop. And in that meantime, they will bring in through legal means, or on the allowance or the turning a blind eye to the illegal occupancy that we're facing, and then the mealy mouth deportations that they come with. Again, I think it was on the Twitter feed there. This here last week, a perfect example. And it is 24 Cal who bang on point as well. Please note that the family on the left have been provided with a residence in Castleknock by the Irish government, while a family on the right will end up in a smelly B&B on Gardner Street. And you're far right if you have a problem with this. And again, this is the case of the people who came here illegally, but is pleading to stay and is now being given permanent residence in a house in one of the more affluent areas of Dublin, in Castleknock. And while this mother of three is facing eviction and appeals for help amid fears her and her children will lose everything, more or less thrown to the streets by the Irish state because you're not the priority, because you are not who we want, who will keep us in power and keep voting for us. These and many other tragic stories are going to get worse and worse. So what I hope the inevitable outcome of the speech, of the starting now of a more nuanced and adult conversation about the supply and demand of mass immigration and its drastic effect on cultures and on countries. It can no longer and is unsustainable under the quiet direction of DEI and all its adherents and all the other stuff with the transgenders and the transformers now coming in as well to, well, dumb down or effeminize a portion of the population through the children. And I think it's failed. I think it's failed in another sense. I think parents are beginning to kick back in relation to the RSE curricular that the children are bringing home and the parents are beginning to see. One of the largest primary schools in Killarney, County Kerry, has 85% immigrant pupils, with over 90% of pupils not even able to speak. And I seen that was a report from RTE. Again, I'm speaking to all of us here that are based in the Republic, for those of you further afield. I'm sorry if you missed it, but in essence, one of the RTE hounds went into a school down in Killarney, and again, the population where the teachers are struggling because a huge import of new pupils don't even speak the language and need SNAs to help them out. Again, more cost to the taxpayer. But again, there won't ever be enough SNAs to cover them, and there won't be enough qualified SNAs to do it. And again, speaking about her at the very start was in relation to Gemma Doherty, and you remember the foibles we had about 8 or 10 years ago and how much of a national conversation it was when she brought up the pictures and how enraged the left and the media were that we were using children for political. It wasn't even for political gain, you know what I mean? But the abhorrence, the knickers all got drawn up. Oh, the decorum, the absolute horror. How could you? But the picture showed a class of 35 children with two white children in it. Again, this 10 years ago when you couldn't even speak on matters as such. And she was vastly rounded upon for saying that. But again, these are the early indicators of demographic replacement. This is, I mean, and again, with the Ferrari over the rugby player happening this week as well, it's an absolute nonsense that we have to ingest the gaslighting from the press and from the media class and from all the rugby adherents. You know, they're just like us. You're just like us. It's not that they are separate to us, but they are different. Everybody is different. You cannot say that two people with both parents of an ethnicity and then you claim to be Irish and have that ethnicity as well. It doesn't work like that. We understand that, but the media is just trying to foist it and push it on and push in this inclusive message. And where will we be happy when the 22 are all of one colour or are so diverse that none of them are even Irish? I mean, what is it all for? It weakens the brand. It dilutes the nation of Ireland. Because if everybody can be Irish, then nobody is fucking Irish. That's exactly what they want. And again, it ties into with the marketing that we see on our screens and on our bus, on the sides of our buses and around the thing. Everything is set at the design, and you will see a portion of advertising that's steered directly at a certain portion of the population, constantly to such a state that it emboldens them, to emblazes them to speak and belittle of the people of the host nation. And I know I'm waffling along, but I don't want to trip over any sort of trigger words and stuff like that that would just freak people out. But again, you get it. It's all by intention. It's all by DEI. If we understand how sycophantical and how psychopathical that these people are in control, that nothing that what we've ever spoken about is off the charts. What is the point of the conversation? The point being is to allow all of this information to unfurl. The point of this also is for the disenfranchised 200. Let me just bring up Quiva's post there as well, because this is now the topic of conversation about what is coming next, what is to do next. Quiva over on Twitter, 213,000 spoiled votes, their vote. Now what? Don't waste it. Help change it. Start convincing. Convince 3 is a kind of a new thing that Quiva's posting out about the 200,000 voters that are out there, and that will, in some way, shape or form, hear this message and hear these kind of conversations about there's an effective voting block that needs to be built upon. But now we need the arrival of our personality, male or female, as I said. Again, preferably male, because only the male in the main will make the necessary decisions that need to be made, will have sympathy, but won't be over empathetic as the feminine will be, as we can see in our current predicament, the over empathy of migrants and minorities and their situation allows the feminine to over empathize and not regulate themselves and be sympathetic to it, but make the harsh decisions that everybody gets called, the situation is cleared out, and the drastic changes need to be changed. And again, I'm not trying to goad or upset anybody in the left or right. That's just my personal. Will I get it? Probably not. Do I want it? Of course I want to see it. It's because I'm advocating for it, because it's my point of view as well. But there are many vast number of capable people, far superior. I'm just hysteric. Maybe it's just that, that working class low IQ. But when I see the likes of, I think actually Satirical posted out there again. I did repost it. Let me post it over to you here. Is about the new class of pretenders and wannabes that are coming out. And again, I'm not derided. I support and have always supported every message. But if you're milquetoast and lactose sort of touch to what is absolutely required, then you are not the person that is needed for the situation. In this situation, Mick is pointing out about the new podcast that's going out as well, that this topic in the conversation, let's say it's a 51-second tweet. Let me listen to it as well.
And what the government tried to do was they tried to make us and insinuate that we were blaming every single person from a different country, colour, creed and religion coming into the country, when that couldn't have been further from the truth. Everybody is welcome as long as they work here, as long as they contribute positively to society.
Yeah, Mick is going to break it down there as well, but I'll get ahead of him as well. Now, everybody is not welcome. If you're not needed or it's not required, then there's no need for you to be here, because that's not how a system works. But this flagrant suicidal, it's not suicidal empathy and that thing, but this over enlargement, rather than for fear of being labelled a racist or being a realist, you'd be called a racist, but you are in fact a realist. We cannot accommodate the world, and we don't need the world to come here to work when there aren't enough positions for them to hold. So let's be real about the conversation. We need to control, we need to moderate who comes and goes. We need to take a stock and cut the flack out as well. And again, if everybody's Irish, then nobody's Irish. There has to be a majority in the main of a particular ethnicity, which has always been in the main white Irish. And that has to remain intact for Ireland to be considered. The Hiberno Scots, the Anglo-Saxons in themselves, because geographically they are from this region as well, have to talk on matters like this. Let me jump across there. Have to speak on matters like this as well, and have to speak about them so frankly and plainly as well. But if this is the type of conversation, or these wannabe pretend leaders that are coming out and saying they are not the medicine that is required, there has to be strict border control, and there has to be a majority of consensus, and that has only come in the main through homogeneity. That's the way it always has been, and that's the only way nature is going to work. And who am I or who you to go against nature? And again, I've said it so many times this week, I don't know if I've said it on the stream, but it's bare worth repeating, that somebody said, oh, we've got 50 languages in the midst of Dublin city centre. I think they were referring to London at the time. But as somebody quite rightly said, 50 languages was a punishment from God because nobody could understand each other. So they all went in different directions and they all sought and thought different things and went out for their own. And for people that were like-minded, so they don't all even speak the language. We have classrooms of kids that coming through that don't speak fucking English. What hope have they to understand Irish culture or what it means to be Irish or whereabouts they fucking are? Because the system is being overburdened. The system is being pulled off the rails by intention because the new system needs to be brought in place. What I'm saying is our potential leaders are people that are vying for those positions. If you want to stand a position and to be taken seriously, your position on migration is got to be on par with everything and all the tenets that Rupert Lowe and the Reform Party are coming through. We need someone and people that are going to be organised to organise the parties in the meantime. He has got his manifesto up and running as well. There needs to be a general chinwag amongst us all about what is the party manifesto. What are the tenets that we all agree on? And who are these people that can come and represent us? Like the likes of the four people on that podcast there as well. Declan Ganley's on that broadcast. I wouldn't have him anywhere near fucking government. Stuck in 5G as well. But I'm sure he's framing himself. I would firmly believe that if the personality will come, it'll come from rural Ireland. It'll come with someone of a rural background that thinks, as Rupert said in his speech, in seasons. That doesn't think in the short term or for the political narrative or what is best for keeping him in tune, but set standards for the seasons, for the decades, for the years ahead. They try and frame this as they're telling us now 2030 and 2040 projects, but we need people with programs and the personalities and the people around them to bring that message home. We need mass deportations. It's going to be inevitable and it's going to happen because the whole of Europe is turning that way. I don't want Ireland to be at the back of the class, the good boy of the class here as well, because of this over-emotive and that we can help the world. Our GDP figures are crashing. Our general societal wealth is wiped off the map. Our interest is now going to be doubled from 3 billion a year to 6 billion a year on interest payments alone, just to service the national debt. And the more people they bring in, the more they require them to service that national debt, the more it takes away from health services, from all the other services. It's a two-edged double sword. So the rot needs to be taken out and the certain parameters need to be set. And I've already spoken and said on certain things as well about positive discrimination and about the entitlements to birthright Irish and stuff. And again, it's all going to be nuanced, it's going to be complicated. But in the majority, in the main, it positively discriminates for the priority of the regular Irish, as the Irish would be. They're the left are again out there trying to frame that, we're all Irish or he's Irish, sure his brother's name is Sean. That doesn't work like that. We know it doesn't work like that, and the gaslighting needs to stop. I'll just finish off on what Mike was going to say in regards to the topic of what that chap was talking about. Paul Trevard, I think his name is.
Needless to say, I violently disagree with the notion that anybody can come to Ireland as long as they work, pay taxes and contribute towards society. I am not in that camp whatsoever. Ireland is my home. It is the ancestral home of the Irish. It is our only place in the world. It is not some economic zone to fucking ram thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions even, of foreign competition. That's not what this place is about. Get this bullshit out of your fucking brains.
And what the government tried to do was they tried to...
So yeah, you see what I'm saying? The man on the street, we all know this as well, but we have people that are coming out and placing themselves to purport to want to represent when they cannot even get the basic tenets of what we're saying. The shop is shut. People will have to be removed. Some people will have to be forcibly removed. Some people will be enticed to be removed. And it will happen within our own lifetimes, I do believe. But again, the topics have to be brought up. The strategies have to be played out and talked about as well. And they'll come more into play. But the personalities that step out into the fore have to be capable and say what needs to be said. Migration needs to be curtailed. The welfare system needs to be overhauled. Access to the welfare system needs to be denied for people. And again, the number one topic on that part of that migration. Islam needs to be addressed. Political Islam needs to be addressed, and Islam needs to be removed, as Rupert talked about. Ban the hijab, ban the burqa, ban Sharia, ban the calling to the prayers. They've already started in Denmark because they can see that there are adult males walking around in full burqas, transporting who knows what, dragging kids to who know where, and nobody willing to address them or talk to them because everybody's afraid of fucking racism. All of those will have to be discussed and brought out, and the criteria and the ethos will have to be Christian, whether you like it or not. You live in a spiritual realm. You see the evil that is erupting around the world right in front of our faces. So that ethos must be maintained in government. Nothing else. Again, we'll talk about the constitutional right to religious freedom and stuff like that. Of course you can't have, but in the main, this will remain a Christian country because Christian is the only one that can order or form and gives the moral framework to a functioning society. Islam can't do that, and I'm sure as shit the Talmud and the rest of that, the Satan of synagogue, not the Satan of synagogue, the synagogue of Satan is not going to give us a functioning society, but the moral framework. And moral relativism or your atheism ain't going to cut the mustard either. And I think we all begin to see that and begin to understand it. I hope and look forward to and want very much to have more of these conversations, not a one-way conversation. So please do impress upon you, our friends here, to jump over to the new Telegram app, because I think it's just going to be Telegram. Because if you've seen, I still have a Discord channel. But I'm glad I never pumped too much energy into it, because this Discord has now said, nearly overnight, I think it's already happened, that you have to have facial, submit your ID to use Discord as well. And it's going to follow along the lines of that digital ID as well. So, excuse me, that's that platform dead and gone and buried to me. WhatsApp will be the same. We'll have to see how Pavel works. But I'd say invariably in the long term, Telegram could go the same way as well. So if you're watching any of these broadcasts or you're seeing it over on YouTube, just in the description box. The only thing in the description box is the link to the Telegram channel. Click and follow it over there. And then I will want to bring in some of our guests. Maybe Mike might join us, who you just seen there in the video, and a few others as well. And in time, we'll get the end life. Like I said to you, it's a one-man operation here. It's a self-funded operation here. And when we get a few extra, and we can afford to get a few extra microphones and a few different camera angles, then maybe we'll expand it and bring more people in to the studio while we still have it, while we're still economically viable ourselves. We'll crack on with that. Let me touch back in with you, because I've been completely selfish and just allowed myself to jump off and speak and spat and spit out whatever the fuck I wanted to say. And I nearly got away with it, not cursing there again as well. I don't have to. I'm certainly not going to apologise for anything I'd say, because I am experimenting and I am speaking non-scripted, as it were, but I'm trying to relay my understanding to yourselves as well, and what I feel and what I think is needed. I've always said I would go pure Torquemada. If you understand and know who Torquemada is, it would be a religious, it would be a proper crusade here at home. But we're not going to get that. We need the right people. We need the right personalities. And I think once the likes of Rupert, Trump kind of did it in his own way. And again, that could have been Operation Trust. You understand Q conspiracy or anything like that? You understand what Operation Trust was? The Israelis did the similar sort of thing did this underground messaging sort of app where they were sort of giving people sort of information to try and turn the tide of politics. But it was them just creating another sandbox, which could be in this situation here. Keep all eyes diverted on what's going on with the X-Files, while we're not looking at what is going on with Palantir and AI recognition. It's Palantir who did most of their AI training, and most of their code skills came from here, from the Republic as well. We've got a strong attachment, not only just with Palantir, but with AI tracking systems as well here in Ireland as well. All of that needs to be uncurled, but I think that'll be from somewhere outside, possibly from America as well. And I don't think we're going to get any respite from J.D. Vance, but I will point you in the one direction of one guy, Thomas Massey, absolute legend in my eyeballs, always has been. And I think he went full nuclear ever since his wife was murdered, or happened to just die. He's gone off and it's just gone full tilt. To the point he said that if the DOJ and the FBI don't release those names, that he'll read them out on the Senate floor. But again, that overspill will make its way into this direction here as well in time. Again, outside forces, the way we'll be stuck with that. So I know it's just another little kind of wax lyric for waxing and lyrically waxing over here. I did want to kind of just kind of get it out there, but I think the type of personality that is required and the people that say the things need to come out in the strongest possible form and never, no matter what, even if you trip up and never said what you intended to say, don't apologize for it. Never take a backward step. Keep pressing forward rhetorically is what we need and what is required. Never apologize. Catholicism is not exactly Christianity. Christianity, and again, I'm not going to get into theological discussions, but I think of the three, if we were to go to Islamic, if we would go kosher, or if we would go Christian, Christianity would work in the modern sense. You can take and you can destroy and vilify the church in other different ways, the church itself, but the ethos is more for functioning. And what I will say in another instance as well, as much as we feel the Islamification of Europe and the Islamification of Ireland creeping up upon us, there are more Muslims leaving Islam than there are joining in the modern era. Understand that as well. Islam is also being affected by the internet because no matter what the imam says, everybody's got a computer on their phone and they can fucking pull up and check the surahs or the Quran itself in any way, shape or form. And more are seeing through the BS. So there is that. That is the one part of the Islamic dilemma as well, is that more adherents, more people are leaving Islam than they are joining it. So they get that. So but what we're taking here in the main between the UK and between here is the absolute dross, is the absolute radicals, is the absolute Islamists. And I don't make any definition. Your moderate modern here, your moderate is just as bad as your radical in that format over there as well. It's all from the same creed, and it is a political philosophy to how to usurp a nation and how to work its way to control and become the majority and overtake. Completely in it. If you go through the Talmudic understanding, it's completely different kind of situation, but with the same sort of effect. They want to bastardize everything. They want to make everything queer so that up is down and down is up, and everything is on its head. And I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, Discord is crap. So look, another short broadcast. Not too much rantings. Caught a little point in directions. Very giddy and excited to want to come back into it. Hopefully, get a chance to go through different more speeches or have a few more reaction things as we go through the year. As we go through the year and we build up whatever this format is going to be. But do please leave some of your thoughts, comments, and witticisms here in the chat before we say goodbye. We want to keep the shows and the streams under an hour, so just kind of get in, get out, without saying too much, without upsetting too many people. But again, I really appreciate your company here in this conversation. Let me know any of your thoughts in there, chat. Let me scroll back and see. Wayne reckons April will be a time for the crash. Yeah, in and around that time, but it'll come at any time. But more than likely on a Friday. More than likely on a Friday. Usually, that's when bad news gets broken. Ireland can only be described as was. Yeah, a lot of old Ireland is gone, and what it could have been as well. But I think in time, and I think with a good bit of graft and our understanding, we can bring it back to a sorry semblance. Nothing ever remains the same in that sense as well. And what is happening, understand this, what is happening at the moment in the last 20 to 30 years is civilizational. That's how big it is. Not just that it's happening here to Ireland or it's happening throughout Europe, it's happening around. It's civilizational. Never in the civilization in the timelines that I've been understood, that I've learned to understand, has there been such a movement of people in such a short space of time. It's that civilizational and it's that drastic that it's going to need that kind of drastic course direction to bring it back to some understanding. They're all saying that now, Clinton and all of that mass migration was a mistake, that it went too far. They'll be saying the same thing about DEI. They'll try and obfuscate again with the hormone blockers and the transification of children. Those bastards, each and every one of you, will be hunted down and hung. Even our government minister here, who's going full tilt and is now coming under scrutiny for their engagement with the Tavistock Institute, who bastardised their own child. All of those folks, wood chipper kind of territory. Public hangings. I see in America now talking about public hangings. And let me just point you into that that candidate that I'm talking about. Fishback is his name. He's running for governor in Florida. In Florida, the great state of Florida. Let me remind you, that dog don't hunt. But he's running in Florida, and his is the rhetoric that will grab the younger attention. He's talking about public executions, talking about public hangings as well. Stuff that we'll be coming back here, that these people are too afraid of capital punishment. Capital punishment must be brought back to this jurisdiction obviously for pedophiles and rapists straight off the bat. But then traitors as well must be brought back. Traitors at all. I won't get too fantastical about over that, but I think you know where I'm going. I think you know that's what's needed as well, because these people need to be utterly destroyed for what they've done and what they're continuing to do. But I think as I said, the Overton window is changing, and with that, over time, I think the bell will turn, and we will enter a different phase of the bell curve. Touching back on some of your comments, you passed away. My head melted. Get in, get out, get away. Just take it in. The SCT, they will sanitise and suck it up buttercup like they do. 100%. You'll notice as well, the bus driver introduced Frank Conway that died last week when a DEI hire fucking crashed and ran over Frank Conway and murdered him on the street. That news story has been buried. Again, the whole apparatchiks of the whole prostitutes, and I love seeing my words spilling out in other people's mouths. I think I don't know who it was using the word prostitute. I coined that. I fucking coined that. There's a few other ones out there as well, but you know what I'm getting at. It's great to see that more and more acceptance of these words, that they are the VT prostitutes, that they are being prostituting themselves. And what the debacle of the whatever your man's name is over in the United States that's being detained in Ireland, who is also, as it turns out, a deadbeat dad who has also escaped and ran away from a drugs charge. And Frank Daly, I thought it was Conway Fanula, no, Frank Daly. Appreciate that. But they tacked their fucking flag to this fella here again, and now they're going to double down on it as well about the horrendous situation. From what I hear, he doesn't want to be deported. He wants to stay over there because he will face criminal charges when he comes back here. And then being a deadbeat dad and his two adult children are over there ripping him apart. Culleton, yeah. I coined puppetition. Yeah, I like that, Wayne. Frank Daly, but there's a baby who was injured and its mother as well. Yeah, I mean that's all been pigeonholed and memory hold again as well. You know, and again, as I say, and as is widely known, justice delayed is justice denied. Will Frank Daly get his justice? Will the family of Frank get their justice? Or the mother and child injured, totally wiped away? Riyad Boucher, the Parnell stabbing, still going ahead, still being talked about. Although I see that the rapist who worked in the care homes, he was up in court there today as well. But what punishment will he get? Nothing. GT, even in America, are using the term prostitutes. To all of you, appreciate that, SGD. 50 towns, cities are like circuit boards and religions are the programming. I agree in some sense. I've always said it's your relationship, your personal relationship with Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the way, and Jesus is the only way you're going to get to heaven. So, and again, all his teachings after the fact. Okay, folks. Okay. Have we covered enough? Quick hour, quick in and out, quick touch up with you. I've been coming in here, touching you up. Let's not go down that road, particularly in this environment. Let's do a quick roll call and I'll let you go. And again, I really do appreciate your company. Thank you for touching in with us on this broadcast. If you're of a mind, please consider leaving your thoughts, comments, and witticisms in the comment section down below. I do love engaging with you. I couldn't find that comment section from last week. I did check it in. It's very critical of me about talking about putting military on the streets. But military on the streets will have to happen one shape or form. And I'd rather nationalists were in control of them than anybody else. Imagine having two twin daughters and abandon them. That's some bollocks. Absolutely, sheepdog. He's from Kilkenny. I was just saying the rap sheet here that our chat is bringing it out there as well. Colette's kicking us off as Wexford. 60 from Wexford. Appreciate you, Colette. Thanks for starting us off. Pure in agreement. Quick pound out there from you guys, and then I'll let you go. I'll say good night to you, and we'll catch up with you again next week. Hopefully have a little bit more of a constructed show. We've got Fanula joining us from Clondalkin. It's happening down there. Also Shawnee Mack from the Bog, Kilcannock, Channick in Kilkenny. I'm fucking bustering that. You do that on purpose, Sean, didn't you? Absolutely did that on purpose. Fanula, who was born in 1992, is from Clondalkin. You got me with that one, you fucker. Yeah, fucker. Tomas FM is joining us from New York. A big thank you to you, sir. Thank you for joining us from the Big Apple. Although your streets are covered in snow shit. I think the snow is sticking on the ground for the last. It snowed 15 days ago and it's still there. People are saying it's not real snow. What's going on over there? Feckin' cats for you. Thomas joining us from New York. Stargirl D also in the house. Thank you for joining us, Stargirl. Appreciate you. Thank you for that. Should have known SGD. Lincolnshire from Simon. Appreciate that. Wayne is joining us from Publin, also known as Dublin. And Calic is from Dressur, just like the song By the River from Sheepdog. Okay, boys and girls, appreciate your company. Appreciate you. God bless you and yours. Keep yourself strong. Where's Emmanuel? Emmanuel, you're saying nothing. There you go, right at the very end. Only now you're saying it. Vanilla, you are a little old lady and you are 92. Will you make your fucking mind up? Is it kicking in? Is the Alzheimer's kicking in already? Or is it my Alzheimer's kicking in? You're not born in 92. You are 92. Well, fuck it. Stop fucking dropping messages in the chat. Big thank you to Emmanuel, our good friend, as always, checking in with us. Living in Coolock with Twinkle Plop. Appreciate that. So long of all, I'll talk to you soon. Take care of you. Take care of yours. And I'll see you next week. God bless.